Let's say you're going fishing and your strategy to catch the fish is to drop a hook in the water and wait until the fish catches the hook or the hook catches the fish. That's not going to work, is it? Everyone knows that. It's kind of obvious. So what you need is you need to put bait on the hook so that the fish doesn't think it's a hook. It thinks it's food. You know, it's a worm in the water, floating around in the water. So that is, that's bait. Now, the same thing applies to a narcissist when he decides he wants to catch you. Now, keep in mind, and you already know this, that hardcore, covert narcissists are all about control. They want to control you. They want to control everybody. They want to control everything all the time. And the reason they do that is because they have a dependency. They go crazy if they're not in control. They have some kind of a psychological difficulty challenge that, they just got to have it. It's almost like somebody who has an addiction. They just have to have it. It's a dependency. So they're willing to surrender anything in extreme cases. I know people, and I've said this in other videos, but I know extreme narcissists, covert narcissists who won't work a job because they don't want to be controlled by a boss. They won't pay their rent because, well, paying the rent means the landlord is in control. So they keep getting kicked out everywhere they go. They keep getting evicted. They won't, if they manage to get a mortgage, usually because the spouse has a job, they won't make the mortgage payment because that means the mortgage company is in control. So a lot of these people, many of them, are homeless and they live off other people. They live off other people's money, other people's homes. A lot of times you find these people, I know several of them, who move from house to house. They will have some sad sob story they will tell. People believe them. They let them move into their house. In some cases, I know people who have let them use their entire house. They may have a spare house that they can't rent, so they let the narcissist move in. I've seen this many times. I know a guy who I believe is a covert narcissist, and it's like he gets evicted every 6 months. And when he moves into one place, he's making plans for the next place. And he knows he's going to get evicted, so he already has a setup to go somewhere else. That's how these people are. They are controllers. Now, maybe the narcissist in your life, the covert narcissist in your life is not that extreme, but the process is still the same. So you put the hook in the water and the fish just ignores it. The narcissist puts the hook in the water and he has bait on that hook. Well, what is the bait? I think you probably already know this. I'm guessing that you do, but the bait is what is called love bombing. So this is a narcissist who wants you to believe that he is your absolute positive best friend. This is somebody you can trust. This is somebody who is set out to defraud you, take advantage of you, steal from you, control you, abuse you. But you don't know that at the beginning. All you see is the worm, and you don't see the hook, and then you're hooked. Now the narcissist has control of you. Now you are stuck in the web. So we think of it in these terms. They can't control you until they hook you, and they can't hook you until they bait you. So the very first thing a narcissist does is he baits you. And number one is this: they're predictable. I mentioned this in another video a couple days ago, but think of a washing machine and it has a cycle. That's how a narcissist works. He works or she works on a cycle. You know, you turn the thing on, you put the soap in it, and it does its own thing. A narcissist is much the same way. They are very predictable. But if you don't know it's a narcissist, you're not expecting any of this. And if you're not familiar with how narcissists work, how they behave, how their cycle works, then you are going to be set up. And by the way, there have been major scams. I mean, people have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes more, to these scamsters. Because, well, there's the hook and the bait. There's the love bombing. There's the promises. There's the feeling if it's a love interest. There's a feeling that you have met Mr. Right and sometimes Ms. Right. It seems that men do this more often than women. But yeah, there have been women who do this as well. So you got to be careful. Particularly when it comes, to catfishing. Speaking of fishing, that's a serious problem. I read a statistic not too long ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I did mention this in another video, that the number one fraud, I think, in the world, more than even bank fraud, is online catfishing. And these people, by and large, are using the same strategy as a narcissist. I'm not saying they are all narcissists, but many of these individuals, they are. I mean, they have no empathy. They're psychopaths. They have no empathy. They have no concern. All right, so they are predictable. What are we expecting from these people? Well, we can expect them to love bomb you. We can expect them to get you in their web where there is codependency, and now they are dependent on you. And they are dependent on you for supply as you are dependent on them for whatever. You think you are getting some kind of supply from them. Maybe it's friendship, maybe it's a promise of a better life somewhere down the road, and you're hooked on this guy or this woman, whatever. And then the abuse starts. And eventually you will come to the point, hopefully, that you realize that and by the way, sometimes it takes decades for people to come to the realization that they are caught in a snare. Now, in my case, I think the longest I've gone is maybe 3 or 4 years before I finally caught on to what was happening. But even that's too long. I mean, but it happens. So eventually you're going to find out what happens. And the narcissist, all this time, it's predictable. He or she has been checking out your circle of friends, your social environment. And they know who your friends are. They know how to contact them. And when you are finally discarded by the narcissist because he knows that you know, or she knows that you know, you're out of their life. You're the final discard. What they will do, they've already started doing this, by the way, is the smear campaign. They will go to virtually everybody in your life that you know, your friends, your family, usually your family, not always, but even people you know casually, and they want to spread the word across your entire social circle, the entire community, that you are the bad guy. And they have very believable stories, and sad to say, many people believe them. So the point is, this is very predictable. And that smear campaign, that can last for a lifetime, because once a rumor gets started, and I'm sure you know this, but once a rumor gets started, it doesn't go away. People keep repeating it, and once people have a very negative, hateful impression of you, that is burned into their conscious, that is burned into their psyche. That is the way they perceive you. Some people come out of it, many people don't, and they keep the smear campaign going. So this can last longer than a lifetime. So it's very predictable. So we need to keep in mind that the first thing a narcissist is going to do to entrap you is to bait you with love bombing. So when somebody is showing you unusual attention, that doesn't mean they're a narcissist, but that does mean this is narcissistic-like behavior, and that, for me, that's good enough to stand back and take a good look at this person and not to second guess my gut feelings. And by the way, it's not gut feelings really, it's just common sense. That if somebody is showing you undue affection and love and concern, chances are this is somebody who's trying to take advantage of you. Now, it could be somebody who, just likes you, somebody who honestly has affection for you, somebody who cares about you. Fortunately, I've had people in my life like that. I married one of them. I spent, almost 50 years together. So they're not all narcissists, but that is the way the narcissist wants to come across, on purpose, by design. Not every worm has a hook in it, obviously, but still, if you're a fish, you got to be careful. You got to look for the hook. You got to look for the line. You got to know if this is a trap. You need to know if you are being baited. Number 2 is this. The patterns seem to be unchangeable. I mean, there are different ways to catch fish, right? You can use a hook and a line. You can use a net. There's different things that you can do to catch fish. But basically, it all, with few exceptions, it typically winds up to you got bait, and the fish are trapped or ensnared in with the bait. So the narcissist works pretty much the same way. They are unchangeable. Now, how many narcissists are there out there? I mean, hardcore, covert narcissists who are playing people. Fact of the matter is, there are more than, I don't know, but some people say it could be 1% of the population. Others say it's 0.5% of the population. But, if a narcissist, say it's 1% of the population, if a narcissist scams 100 people over his lifetime, which some of them do more than that. I know a narcissist who has who has a public record that has like, I don't know, 50 some different documents in it where he scammed people. You know, he's been prosecuted. And that's just the ones we know about. There's probably 100 more. So this one individual has had encounters, what I would call narcissistic encounters with well over 100 people. So if you have 1% of the population scamming 100% of the population, that means just about everybody is vulnerable because these people go from one to the other. They have the same pattern. So they all do the same thing. They bait, they love bomb, they ensnare, they abuse, they discard, and they go to the through the process of the smear campaign to make sure that other people don't listen to you when you tell them the truth, and that they are protected, that you are seen as the bad guy. They don't want other people knowing the truth. It's predictable and it's unchangeable. The pattern works the same. It seems like every time. There may be some basic, small variations, but ultimately it's the same. Now, sometimes I watch 60 Minutes Australia, and they have several presentations, several documentaries on scammers. And it's amazing. They all use the same pattern. I mean, these people tend to be, at least from my perception, they tend to be narcissists, flat-out narcissists.
I was really looking for my soulmate.
He was charming.
The next thing I know, I was pregnant.
Australia's most despicable lover.
And it's a bitter pill to swallow when you find out that everything that you thought was real wasn't.
He steals women's hearts
There's a lot of love in the air. Marry my dream guy.
to get to their money.
$33,000.
Upwards of 200,000.
In fact, one of the documentaries I watched just last night, it was about a narcissist who was scamming a lady out of, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if I remember correctly. So the patterns are unchangeable. You know, they're just there. And once you learn what a narcissist is, you can protect yourself. It's not easy, you know, because I've been ensnared myself a couple times. So effectively, when I was ensnared, it was the same thing as catfishing, except it wasn't on the internet. Just somebody who I thought was my good friend. Slowly but surely, I've told this story in other videos, but slowly but surely, he pulled me in, and I'd loan him this amount, then I'd loan him that amount, then I'd loan him this amount, and I'd help him do this, and I'd help him do that, until he had the equivalent of thousands of dollars transferred from my account to his account. I just being nice. I just trying to help the guy. And I see these people, you know, when I watch these documentaries, and I think, how can they be that stupid? Then I stop and think, well, the same way I could have been that stupid. I honestly didn't see it coming. And even after it came, I didn't see it. It was there right in front of me. You know, he was taking money. I thought I was being a good guy. And then sometimes, this is kind of weird, but I even volunteered, because I felt sorry for him, I even volunteered to help him. He didn't have a cell phone. This was probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. He didn't have a cell phone, so now I bought him one. You know, I had a successful business, and not only did I buy him the cell phone, but I offered to pay his phone service. He didn't pay me back, but what he did do is a couple times he ran over. Back then they had you had a limited number of minutes, and after that the rates went way up. So there were a couple months when he ran the rates up over $400 a couple times. So he scammed $800 out of me because I had to pay it. I was obligated. You would think, okay, that's enough, walk away from the guy, but you know, they're deceitful. You're just convinced these are your buddies, these are your friends, and I see these people being scammed on the internet. I just said this a second ago, but for emphasis, and I wonder, you know, how can they be that stupid? I mean, come on. You think this guy, you know, these women who are scammed, you think this guy really cares about you? Yeah, I did the same thing. So I know what they're going through. I know how easy it is for a narcissist to lie to other people. Number 3 is this. We need to think about how we respond to narcissists. Once we understand we're entrapped, once we understand that we are ensnared, we need to learn how that we respond to what's going on. And what I have learned, you know, I'm 70 years old almost, 7 decades of experience dealing with these people and experience dealing with a lot of things. But what I've learned is the best way, at least for me, to respond to a narcissist is to stay away from them. soon as you find out, get as far away from this person as you possibly can. Don't try to pay them back because, well, they like to fight. They enjoy it. If you're fighting them, they don't care if they lose the fight or not. I mean, they lose all the time. They get kicked out of their dwelling places. You know, they get evicted. They lose their jobs. They like to lose because when they lose, they're winning, and they're distorted way of thinking because they see themselves as being in control. So they like to fight with you. Doesn't matter if they lose the fight or not. Go ahead and sue them, and you win the lawsuit. But they're judgment proof because they don't have any money. So they think they won. You know, they provoked you to sue them, and you got nothing but attorney bills out of it, which you have to pay, by the way. So, you know, they think it's great. They think it's fun. It's their way of getting supply because they are dependent on that. So think about your response. Now, I know there are some counselors out there who say, yeah, sometimes you need to fight back. I mean, you really need to fight eyeball to eyeball, nose to nose, you know, punch for punch. Personally, I don't believe that. I think that's just feeding the narcissist ego, but you have to make your decision. So think about your response. By the way, responding and reacting to entirely different things. Reacting is impulse control or lack of impulse control. Responding is impulse control. Control your impulses. Number 4 is learn from your response and learn from your experience. So what did you learn from this experience with a narcissist? I learned a lot of things. One thing I learned is narcissists are very bad people, that they can do a lot of damage, and they can damage your reputation beyond belief. I mean, seriously, I never would have known that so many people would have believed the lies and the distorted truths that the narcissist was spreading throughout the community about me. But people believe that nonsense. You know, faith comes by hearing, and they hear this garbage and they believe it. That's, you know, that's the way it works. But narcissists, they don't change, they can't change. You and I can change. If we are empaths, if we are not narcissists, we have the propensity to make adjustments in our lives to adjust to the narcissist, and they're out there. Doesn't matter if it is 0.5% or 1%, chances are you're going to be encountered by one, probably by more of these people, and hopefully you don't have to face one of these extreme narcissists. But there's a very good possibility that you will. In fact, depending on how old you are, there's a good possibility that you already have. In fact, that's probably why you're watching this video. So learn from your responses and learn from your experiences. And, you know, that's what I've done. And do I have it down pat? I don't think you ever can. These people are so sneaky. They're so savvy. They're very, very proud of their ability to scam people, and they love doing it. It's what they do for their entire lives. I mean, you see these people in a restaurant. They're still narcissists. They're still scamming the other residents in the restaurant. Or if they go to jail, put them in prison. They're still narcissists. They're still scamming their inmates, other inmates. Then number 5. This is one that we already kind of touched on. But number 5 is just don't participate in what the narcissist is doing. As soon as you find out this guy is not on the level, don't participate. Now, the problem that I had thinking back is it's kind of like there's a scale. And one side of the scale, there is the good perception of the narcissist. He's my friend, he's my buddy, we have good times together, we laugh, we eat out together, and, you know, this is just my friend. On the other side of the scale are the nefarious things this guy is doing. You know, the stealing, the lying, the cheating, the gossip, the smear campaign, all of that. And so we're weighing these two things in your mind subconsciously. And your good perception, which is a false perception, by the way, far outweighs the bad. So it's a good guy. So you participate in a scam because, you know, you participate in him scamming you, thinking, that's my friend, you know, he's good for it. But you see this happening all the time. But once you realize, look, just because the scale is weighed on the good side, if you see that scamming going on, chances are the goodness that you see in this person is, it's all fake. It's there for a reason. It is there to hold you. That is the web, by the way. Let me phrase it this way. That is the web, that is the net that holds holds the prey close to the narcissist where he can take or she can take supply from you. See those two rectangles on the screen? Let's keep talking if you want. All you got to do is click one of those two rectangles. Conversation will keep on going. If not, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all next time.